Disclaimer. The views and opinions expressed in this video are those of my own and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any other person or group of people. They do not purport to reflect the opinions or views of any group of people, person, or fanbase or its members. This video and the presentation of material therein do not imply the expression of any opinion other than mine.
Warning: the following video contains explicit language which may be offensive to some viewers or inappropriate for children. The content within this video is intended for mature audiences only.
Inside today just simply because I don't feel like going outside. I like to thank everybody that's left likes, subscribed, left comments. You know who you are, and I appreciate it. It means a lot as a content creator. Even though I'm an amateur content creator, I do like getting feedback from the people that regularly watch my videos on what they like, what they don't like, any suggestions for watching or things or reading things. That's kind of cool too, because it opens up where and how and new things. It opens up new opportunities. I guess that'd be the simplest way to put it. The way my couch is shaped, when I sit down, my pants will pull my suspender straps, and it just gets really tight on the shoulders. But that's why I have them off there. Now, what I want to talk about today, oh yeah, before I forget, I also want to thank all the other people that do Gen X content out there. You guys keep doing what you're doing. What I want to talk about today is a novel that I first finished reading. I finished reading it on the 26th, Tuesday? 2 days ago, Tuesday, I think it's 26th of September. I really enjoyed this novel. It's probably one of the best, if not the best novel that I've read in 2023. And that novel is Holly by Stephen King. And this is a noir story, detective noir, kind of along the same lines as, say, a Mike Hammer story or a Philip Morrow story. It's really good. The story is set early post-COVID lockdown. The political division is addressed in this, the political division that we still have this day, but emerged during the whole pandemic thing, is weaved into it really well. King takes some shots and some jabs at both liberal and conservative policy. A little bit heavier on the conservative policy, his jabs are. They're a little bit more like uppercuts, whereas some of his critiques of liberal policy are more light, jabs, where the stuff on the conservative policy is like this big round, big hook shot. And it's well written. At no point is King preaching to the reader. He is simply taking the circumstances, the feeling, the national feeling, all that, and incorporating into the story. I've seen a lot of reviews, especially on Amazon, where a lot of people are shitting on the book because of his inclusion of everything that was going on in the real world at the time. I disagree with them. I think it grounds the story, makes it easier for the reader to stay grounded in reality. The main character, Holly Gibney, is dealing with her own hypochondria. She's dealing with the stresses of that, the loss of her mother from COVID, and she, like I said, she's dealing with that, and it's driven her back to smoking. And throughout this novel, we look at her dealing with her personal demons while trying to figure out this case. The case she takes, she's looking for a young woman by the name of Bonnie Dahl. And her conscience forces her to take the case. And it's wonderful. I think of it as like a 10,000 piece puzzle. A 10,000 piece 3D puzzle on top of that. That you have the box and you know what the final picture's supposed to look like. But you got to put all these pieces in the right order to have it come out. And the reader is aided by Holly Gibney and two supporting characters that are really good characters. Jerome and his sister Barbara Robinson. And it's wonderfully, awesomely done. It's just completely insane how a little thing that Barbara contributes in this chapter and a little thing that is contributed by Jerome in another chapter, and how all these little seemingly insignificant pieces fall right into place as we hit the climax of the story. And once again, King, being the master wordsmith that King is, does this wonderful job of it, and just completely envelops the reader. If you're a longtime reader of Stephen King books, say The Shining, It, the Dark Tower series, stuff like that, this book is a departure from that. There are no supernatural forces. There are no mystic creatures, no clowns in the sewer, none of that. It is simply bad people doing bad things. And it's well done. You get to see, or read, I should say, that Holly makes mistakes. She's human, she's fallible. And these mistakes she learns from. And almost too late in a couple of her mistakes that almost end up with Holly being unalived, but she makes mistakes. She's human. She's very relatable. One of the things that have endeared me to the character of Holly Gibney is her reluctance to use profanities or slurs or anything like that, and makes her this kind of oddball outcast. because of her feelings toward particular uses of profanity and stuff. Now, when she's under great stress, she'll use profanities and slurs and stuff like that. However, for the most part, Holly is the typical shy, quiet girl next door that runs a detective agency. That's just kind of weird now that I say that out loud. But she, you know, she has a very strong and developed moral compass. Jerome and Barbara and Holly all originated in the book, the novel, Mr. Mercedes. And in the sequel to it, Finders Keepers, those three characters are further developed. And they're even developed further in the last book of the trilogy, End of Watch. And by the time you've read those three books, these characters are characters that you expect to walk into Starbucks and see, or walk into Walmart and see them shopping. You get to grow up with Barbara. Barbara starts out like, in Mr. Mercedes, she's in like the 5th or 6th grade. And over the course of the trilogy, she grows up. And by this book, she's getting ready to go to college. So we have grown up with these with these two supporting characters. Jerome is in high school. I think he's a freshman. Might be a sophomore, but I think he's a freshman. And by the time we hit this book, Jerome is finished college, finishing up college, and is embarked on a writing career. And it's just, we've seen him grow from this awkward, cynical, sarcastic teenager that uses his cynicism as a shield, as a way of protection, and he grows. Holly starts out as this character with emotional abuse from her parent and her uncle. She has OCD, probably ADHD, though it's not explicitly said, and she's over intelligent for how and where she's living at the time she's introduced. She's clearly smarter, more intelligent than her caretakers, her mom and her uncle. This growth of this character. And in the book, The Outsider, which is a standalone novel that takes place after End of Watch, we get to see Holly grow even more. Jerome and Barbara aren't in The Outsider, but Holly is. And we get to see her grow. We start to see her coming into her own, blooming like this magnificent, beautiful rose. And also in the short novella, short story, If It Bleeds, this blooming is coming to fruition. It's just beautiful, with it culminating in Holly. Like I said, if you're a fan of the supernatural, give this book a try. You don't have to read the other books I mentioned in order to enjoy this novel, but it allows your immersion into this world that Holly occupies. It allows you to see Holly's growth and Barbara's growth and Jerome's growth, and how the events of these books shaped her. And if you want to just jump to Holly and read Holly, I would strongly suggest going back and read the other books. I mean, it is a ride. End of Watch has a little bit of the classic Stephen King supernatural stuff, but not to the point where I could say that it's a typical Stephen King horror novel. The Mr. Mercedes, Finders Keepers, and End of Watch are also referred to as the Mr. Mercedes trilogy, or the Bill Hodges trilogy. Bill Hodges lives on in spirit and through Holly in these novels, especially in this one and If It Bleeds. You can feel that Holly is using what she learned in the first 3 books that she was in, and relies on that knowledge through invoking Bill Hodges' name. I should point out that Holly isn't introduced in Mr. Mercedes to almost 3/4 of the way through. I've read things where King has said that she originally was going to be a one-off character. Now she's got 6 stories of her, 6 stories that she's a part of, and she now has her own standalone novel. It's not really a standalone, but her own novel in which she is the star, the main character, the main protagonist. And he, in this book, he once again intertwines his views, his critiques of things like racism, homophobia, rich white privilege. All of these elements are in there. However, they're not preached. He's not getting on a soapbox and preaching to you. He's using it in the context and weaving it into the story, leaving breadcrumbs. If you choose to follow him, you do. If you choose not to follow him, you don't. It's not a big deal, but they're there. So, overall, as a Stephen King novel, I would give it 5 out of 5 stars. As a Holly Gibney story, I'd give it 6 out of 5 stars. It's just that good of a read. And it's well worth it. So, until next time, peace.
Hey, it's 10 p.m. Do you know where your children are?